Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, we will be covering Factories Act 1948, which is in CMA Inter syllabus. So we'll quickly finish the whole chapter and then you'll find more videos on industrial laws very soon. So let's get started and do Factories Act 1948. Okay. So though this act says that it has come in 1948, but actually it was applicable from 1949, 1st of April. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what does it talk about. So basically why this act has come into picture is because you know that a lot of industrialists, the rich people were taking the advantage of small laborers. Okay, so laborers were not getting proper environment to work in. Okay, there were so many hazards that they were open to. Okay, their health was being compromised because they were working in such environmental conditions which are not suitable for human body. Okay, so in order to regulate all this, in order to put minimum wages for them, or in order to put proper working hours for them, in order to tell what is the proper environment that a human can work, these industrial laws have come. So in that, first industrial law that we are going to study is Factories Act. So here we are going to talk about how the factory should be, how many people should be working, what should be the working hours, what is the age of people who can work in these factories, if there is any hazardous process that people are involved, how do we take that into consideration. So all these things are something that we are going to study in Factories Act. So I hope this is clear. Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
should we go ahead? Yeah. So now we are going to talk about objects of this act. Okay, like I already told you what are the objects of this act. So here this act has come into picture to protect the workers. Okay, so whoever are working in the factories, to protect them from any hazard. Okay, any hazard, because they're working in such a place, if it could be hazardous to them, how do they protect the workers? Okay, and also to improve their proper working conditions. This act has come. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So moving ahead, we're going to talk about it extends to which places in India. So it extends to whole of India and it is also applicable to the factories of central government and state government. So even if central government and state government is owning a factory, even to them, this particular act is applicable. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So moving ahead, here we are talking about a person called competent person. Okay, so who is this competent person? So competent person means, so this guy, whomever you can see in the photo, you can say that this guy is the chief inspector. Okay, so the chief inspector appoints a person or institution. Okay, the chief inspector is going to appoint a person or institution. Why? So that this person can go and he can carry, he can test, he can see the factories. Okay, he can inspect the factories if everything is being followed as per the Factories Act or not. Okay, see, a chief inspector is appointed by the state government. See, this person is appointed by the state government. Okay, so he'll be called as chief inspector. See, one chief inspector cannot go to all the factories and cannot examine all the factories himself, right? So he will send these competent persons as his agents, and these people go to the factory, they carry out tests, they examine the factories, and they inspect. So before chief inspector appoints this person, he will check if that person is properly qualified, if he is experienced or not. Okay. And also, whatever the factory this competent person is going to, he will check which type of people are employed in that factory where he is going. Okay, so based on this, he is going to appoint a person or institution to carry out the test in the factory. So this person is called as competent person. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So next, moving ahead, we'll be talking about. So moving ahead, in one factory, you can have more than one competent person. So more than one person, the chief inspector can send to a factory to do the particular examination of the factory. Okay. So moving ahead, we are going to talk about what is a hazardous process. Okay. What is a hazardous process? So as you can see, hazardous process is specified in first schedule. So there is a first schedule in this act. So all the hazardous processes are listed in this particular first schedule. Okay. So whatever is, I mean, anything that can be taken special care of. See, sometimes what happens if you want to release some waste into the water, okay, if it is harmful, directly you cannot release it, no, you should take special care, right? Yeah. So
Yes, ma'am.
in a factory, in a manufacturing factory, what will you have? You will either have raw materials, you will have work in progress, or you will have finished goods, right? Right. And
Yes, ma'am.
whenever you're manufacturing, you will get some products out of this manufacturing process. And at the same time, sometimes you might get byproducts or you can get waste. You already know what byproducts and waste are. Byproducts are something out of one particular manufacturing process. Even if you don't want that product will be released because of the manufacturing process, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that is byproduct. So byproduct or waste, if you do not take proper care of them, if they can cause any material impairment to health of any person, or it is going to pollute the general environment, then it is called as hazardous process. So any process which can harm a human being or which can pollute the environment, that is called as hazardous process. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So moving ahead, we'll be talking about state government. So in this hazardous process, if the state government wants to add any process as hazardous process, it can add it in the first schedule by amending, by issuing a notification in the official gazette. Okay. Suppose now state government has realized that there is a process called A, and this process is hazardous process. Now, if it is not there in first schedule, if the central government wants to add this process A as a hazardous process, they can add it by changing the first schedule. So how can they change the first schedule? They can change this first schedule by giving a notification in the official Gazette of India. So this is the official Gazette photo also that you can see. Is this clear? Should
Yes,
we go
ma'am.
to the next one?
Yes, ma'am.
So next we are going to talk about manufacturing process. Okay, so what is a manufacturing process? That is what we are going to see over here. So manufacturing process is nothing but you're making something. Okay, manufacturing process means you're making something, or suppose if I already made it, I want to change it. So that is called altering. Okay, first you're making, or you're making any changes to it, which is called as altering, or you're repairing it. It is not working well, so you want to repair it. So repairing is also considered as manufacturing process. Okay, suppose once you made a particular product and you want to properly put some designs on it, so that is called ornamenting. Okay, so making, if you don't like it, what will you do? You will alter it. If it is not working properly, what will you do? You will repair it. Okay, once everything is fine, you want to add some designs to it. So that is called ornamenting. So once you have done all this, you are okay that, okay, I finished the product. Okay, then what will you do? You will pack it. And for regular maintenance of it, what will you do? You will start oiling it, washing it, cleaning it, treating it, right? Yeah. So this is
Yes.
how you can remember this. Okay. So making something, after you made it, you don't like it, so you altered it. Or if it is not working properly, you will repair it. You will ornament it as per your requirements. You will finish it, then you will pack it. You will keep oiling it, washing it, cleaning it, and treating it. So anything that is related to an article or a substance, either you're using it yourself or you're doing it to sell it to someone, you're transporting, delivering, or disposing that particular article, it will be called as manufacturing process. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So moving ahead, the next one more definition or one more inclusion in manufacturing processes, like you can see in the photo here, they are pumping oil. Okay, so pumping oil or water sewage or any other substance, that is also called as manufacturing process. Okay, so moving ahead, generating, transforming or transmitting electricity, that is also manufacturing process. Okay, so moving ahead, composing any types that is relating to printing. So printing can be done either in paper form, or it can be done digital printing. So in printing also there are a lot of types. Newspaper printing, we have a lot of types. So all this that is concerned with printing, that is also called as manufacturing process. Moving ahead, anything that is concerned with ships or vessels, that is you're either constructing a ship, you're reconstructing it, you're repairing it. Suppose the ship has gone to a long journey and it has come, some parts are missing, so you're refitting the parts, you're finishing the ship, you're breaking the ship down. See, ships are very big, so in order to break it down also a lot of people are involved. Okay, so breaking down of a ship is also called as a manufacturing process. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So let's move on to the next one. Here, we are also talking about a cold storage service. So if you can see in the photo, in India, this cold storage was not very, common. So these days, government is also giving some subsidies and incentives for people to start this cold storage facilities. Because when we don't have cold storage facilities, it becomes difficult to store products for a longer duration, and because of which they could perish. Okay, so a lot of farmers and a lot of people were losing money because in India we didn't have these cold storage facilities. Okay, so preserving or storing any article in cold storage facility is also called as manufacturing process. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So here there is a case law about Uttarakhand Forest Development Corporation, and this is the case law's name. We need not remember the names. Let's just see what is given in the case law. So the Supreme Court said, if you're cutting any trees and you're changing the shape, so once you cut the branches or the logs, you're going to change the shape into some logs. So they change the shape into logs, and with these logs, what did they do with these logs? They used these logs in preserving milk in the cold storage. So maybe there is a fridge, and under the fridge they put these logs or something. They have used it in the process to store the milk in the cold storage. So that is also called as manufacturing process. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So moving ahead, there is another case law. So here they said, if you're converting any raw films into finished production, see, so whenever a movie shooting happens, or and whenever they take a film, they're going to finally finish all the production that is required. They're going to add audio, they're going to add subtitles, everything. So once they finish the production, this process is also called as manufacturing process. Okay. So moving ahead, here they said if you're preparing any food items, okay, in the kitchen of the restaurant, okay, and you're putting it in the refrigerator. Suppose say any ice cream that you produce, you put it in the refrigerator for it to freeze so that you can sell it later. No, so that is also a manufacturing process. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So moving ahead, we are talking about a worker. Who is a worker? So anybody who is directly employed, I'm directly employing a person. So he's called a worker. So generally in a factory, what happens? There are some agents. Okay. Through these agents, we are going to employ workers. Okay. So either the factory is directly employing you, or you are employed through an agent, then also you are called as a worker. Okay, see, whether the principal employer knows about you or does not know about you is not something that we are concerned. If you're directly employed or you're employed through an agent, you will be called as a worker. Whether you're getting remuneration or you're not getting a remuneration is a different thing. But you are employed directly or through an agent, you will be called as a worker. So this worker does not mean any worker in the factory or any worker in an organization will be talking that we are going to talk in this act. We are only talking about those workers who are involved in the manufacturing process. We just spoke about manufacturing process. We just spoke about what is manufacturing process, right? So any worker who is working in the manufacturing process directly, okay, so he'll be called as a worker. Or he's connected to a manufacturing process. He's connected. That means suppose there is a machine. Okay, every day this person called A, he has to go and put some oil in the machine. Okay, so that means he's connected to the manufacturing process. So any kind of work that he's connected to the manufacturing process, he will be called as worker. Okay, and any worker who is going and cleaning any part of this machinery or the premises where manufacturing process is happening, that person is also called as a worker. Is that clear?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Suppose there is a security guard who is guarding the factory, which is he's standing outside of the gate. He will not be called as a worker because directly he is not involved in the manufacturing process. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. One more thing that we need to remember here is they have exempted the armed forces members. See, you know, armed forces, their duty is only to safeguard the country, right? They put their life at stake to protect others. So here we are not talking about armed forces people. They are not workers. Clear? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's go to the next one. So here we are talking about what is a factory. Now you need not remember any other sections, but here this section is important. This is the only section that you can remember in this particular act. So here we need to understand what is a factory because all the welfare measures or all the safety measures that we are going to talk in Factories Act is applicable to a factory. So first we need to understand what is a factory. Okay. So factory is, first we will see any part in which manufacturing process is carried on. So as we know here, we are only talking about manufacturing process. So manufacture, usually I'm always doing manufacturing process, then it is a factory. Or ordinarily, means suppose seasonally I'm doing some factory from some manufacturing work, then also it will be called as a factory. Okay, so as per this act, what is a factory? Factory means suppose I'm using some power to do the manufacturing process, like some electricity I'm using, some solar power I'm using. Suppose I'm using any power in my factory. If I have 10 or more workers, when in any day during the previous 12 months, then it will be called as a factory. Suppose I do not use any power, then if I have 20 or more workers, then it will be called as a factory. Okay. So from when will you see how many members? Suppose today I am standing back 12 days on any day, even on one day, if I have more than 10 workers or if I have more than 20 workers or 20 workers, then it will be called as a factory. So here, what are they telling? So 8 of power means they are also equal to 10 members. Okay, so 10 plus 10 is nothing but without the 8, that is 20 members. As you know, if I use power, that means I need less people to do the work. No, yeah.
Yes.
If I use power, I need less people to do the work. That is the reason if I use power, I have 10 or more. If I don't use the power, then I'll have 20 or more. Okay. So from today, any day in the last 12 months, if this is being satisfied and in that part, I'm doing any manufacturing process, then only it will be called as a factory. Now, this is the definition, and here, because of some case laws, we can understand what are included in the factory and what are not included in the factory. Okay. So included all the railway lines, any construction of railway lines, any open land engaged in conversion of seawater to salt. So you know, right? They take the seawater, they dry the seawater, and they make it into salt. So that is also a manufacturing process, and that land will also be called as a factory. Any seasonal factories, they will also be called as factories. Which are not factories, these include some mines, mobile unit belonging to armed forces. Again, I told you about armed forces, why we get different points about them. A hotel is not a factory because their manufacturing process does not happen. Railway running shed or restaurant or eating places, these will not be called as factories. Is that clear? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So here we'll quickly go to the question which was asked in the exam. So just read the question once. So ABC Limited is carrying on manufacturing activities with the aid of power with 8 workers for last 2 years ending on 31st of March 2014. So with the aid of power, that means how many people do we need?
10 or more.
10 or more. Okay. So till 31st of March, I have how many? 8 workers, right? 3
Yes.
more workers were appointed on 1st of April. So here we again added 3 more workers. Now how many do we have?
11.
11. So here we have 11. There, 2 workmen left the company on 30th of April 2014. Okay, 30th of April. How many left? 2 more.
2.
Mr. B, one of the workers, demanded that Factories Act 1948 shall be applicable to his company, but management declined. Give your opinion. So, will Factories Act be applicable or not?
Yes.
Yes. Why will it be applicable? Because any time, any day, even on one day, if more than 10 people are employed, Factories Act will be applicable. So here you can say from 1st April, there were how many? 11 people. So even if people leave later, it does not matter. On one day at least, we had more than 10 people working. So Factories Act will be applicable. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So these are some key points that you can remember. A place solely used for some purpose other than manufacturing process carried on in a factory or workshop does not constitute a factory. So as I told you, only if manufacturing process happens, then only it is a factory. Clear? Next, mere fact that power is used in the premises is not sufficient. Okay, just because I'm using the power in the premises, it is not sufficient. This power I should use in my manufacturing process, then only it will be called as a factory which is running with the aid of power. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so moving ahead, we need to understand who is an occupier, because whatever things that the Factory Act says, this occupier is the person who is responsible to implement such things in the factory. Okay, so who is this occupier? See, whoever has the control of the factory, he will be called as an occupier. Okay, see, even a sole proprietor, even a partnership, even a company, anybody can start a factory. Okay, so, if a firm is starting a factory, or if an association of people are coming together and they are starting a factory, in that case, occupier can be any one of the partners. So, they'll be deemed as occupier. Either you name who is the occupier. If you're not naming who is the occupier, any one partner will be deemed as an occupier. Okay. Next, in the case of a company, suppose the factory is owned by a company, any one director will be deemed as an occupier. Okay. And if a factory is run by the central government, state government, or local government, any person who is appointed to manage the affairs of the factory, he will be called as a deemed manufacturer, deemed occupier. Suppose if there is a ship, so we just saw that ship is also a manufacturing process and the ship is also a factory. So in a ship, if at all it is being repaired or maintained and the work is carried out. So suppose there is a ship, you want to repair a ship. You cannot repair a ship when it is in the water, right? You will have to shift it to some place on the land. Okay, so that area will be called as a dock area. Okay, wherever you are putting the ship to repair, that will be called as a dock area. So the owner of the dock or owner of the ship, they will be deemed to be occupiers. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So now, how will the inspector know that a factory has come into picture? How does he know that a factory has been started? Okay. So what does occupier has to do? He will have to send a return notice to this chief inspector. Okay. He will have to send a notice to chief inspector. We already saw who is the chief inspector. He is appointed by the state government. So whenever you want to start a factory, 15 days before you start, before you occupy, or before you use the factory, you will have to send a written notice to this particular chief inspector. You should tell about the name of the factory, where is it situated, the situation, in which situation the factory is in, the name and address, who is the occupier. See, so in the first one, you're talking about the name and the address of the factory. In the second point, you're also going to mention who is the occupier, what is his address, what manufacturing process are you going to do in the factory, and how many workers are there, what are their details. So all these things you will have to give it to the chief inspector before 15 days of you starting the factory. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And suppose if there was a person A who was the manager. Now I am removing this person A and I am putting this person B as the new manager. So manager is nothing but a person who has the control on the factory, no? So if I'm
Yes.
changing this particular manager, then also I will have to inform the chief inspector. Here I should also inform the inspector. So I should inform two people here. Okay, chief inspector and also the inspector. I will have to inform them that the manager has been changed. So here, suppose I'm changing A today. I have 7 days from the change to inform the inspector or the manager. Okay, 15 days is before you start a factory. 7 days is after changing. I have 7 days to inform these two people. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So moving ahead, we are going to talk about what are the duties of the occupier, which I already told you. So this occupier will make sure that all the healthy, safety, welfare of the workers are maintained whenever they are working in the factory. So that is the reason we need to know who is an occupier, because he is responsible for these particular things. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Moving ahead, we are going to talk about powers of inspector. Now, this is very important. It has been asked in the exam also. So, what are his powers? If you remember these four diagrams, that is more than enough. Okay. So, in the first diagram, you can see there is an entrance, right? There is a door. So, this inspector, whenever he wants to enter any place, he can enter. Okay. Yeah. In the second picture,
Yes, ma'am.
what can you see? He's trying to examine or check a stone, right? Yeah. So whenever he wants to examine any article, any plant is not the plant of the tree, okay? We say plant and machinery, right? So that plant or any premises of the factory, he wants to examine, he can go and examine. Okay. In the third picture, you can see that this person, he is having this skeptical mind. He's questioning, he's doubtful, right? So if any dangerous accident happens, he can come there and he can examine how many people got injured. If anybody got disability, he will check that also. Okay, and he can take spot statements of people, whoever are there. Okay, so whoever is the witness or anybody, he can ask them, he can take their statement. So that is what he is doing in this picture. Okay, in the next picture, you can see he is, checking some documents, right? So he can ask anybody in the factory to give him any documents. If he wants to take those documents home, I mean, if he wants to seize them also, he can seize them. He can take any possession of articles also. Articles also, if he wants to take, he can take them. Or any other powers as prescribed. So these are the powers of inspector. So first picture, you can see he's entering somewhere. Second picture, you can see he's examining something. Third picture, you can see he's being doubtful and he's recording somebody's statements. And in the fourth picture, you can see that he's reading some documents. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So there is a person called certified surgeon. Okay. So certified surgeons. Now, why do we need certified surgeons? We'll be covering in the later topics. So a certified surgeon is appointed by a central government. So whoever are qualified medical practitioners. So whoever are qualified medical practitioners, they will get the permission from the central government to act as certified surgeons. Okay. So these certified surgeons will be we will be talking about these certified surgeons. What are their powers? What do they do in the factories? So all these things we are going to talk about a certified surgeon. For now, what you need to remember, central government will appoint few people as certified surgeons who have qualified some medical exams or some medical practices. So if they qualify them, then the central government can make them as certified surgeons for factories. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Next, talking about what do these certified surgeons do? So you can see this young person here, right? So, so see if they are adult people, we know that adult people are fully mature with their body and they can directly go to the factory and work. But whenever we are talking about young people, these certified surgeons have to examine them. They will have to give them a certificate called certificate of fitness, which we will talk in the later part of this chapter. So this particular certified surgeon, they will examine these young people. Okay, here they
Yes,
will
ma'am.
also examine, suppose if there is any dangerous occupation. So they will examine this person and say that if this person can go to that dangerous factory or can he do that dangerous occupation or not. So they're going to examine such people also. Also, they're going to do some medical supervision. When will they do medical supervision? Suppose there is any illness that has occurred to a worker when he is doing the work. Okay. Or if they think that it could cause any injury to health of the workers. Suppose if any manufacturing process, if we think that it could lead to some health injuries of the workers, then also this certified surgeon can go and supervise such situations and also give some reasons. Okay. Also, you can see young persons are or about to be employed in any work causing injury to health. Suppose there are young people who are uh, employed in this manufacturing process, and if she or he thinks that there could be some injury to their health, then this particular surgeon can examine them. Okay, can supervise them, can see what is the illness or what is the injury that has caused. Okay, is that clear? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So see here you can see likelihood of injury to health. So here generally what happens, suppose I'm changing my manufacturing process. See, whenever you do some new thing, that is when some failures or some weaknesses can be discovered, right? So initially I was following process A. Now I'm changing it to process B. So because of this new process, if there is any injury that has been caused, then this particular surgeon will go and examine. She's going to go and supervise. Okay. Any new manufacturing process also I'm adopting. In that case, also medical surgeon, certified surgeon is going to supervise and understand the reasons why it has happened. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next, so this was the question that is asked. Critically examine the duties of certified surgeon under the Factories Act 1948. Okay, under the Factories Act 1948. So you can see we have just studied about this duties of medical surgeon, certified surgeon. So all these points you will have to cover in order to get 8 marks, and you will also have to write about who appoints certified surgeon or how are they appointed. So that is about this particular concept. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So the next one we are talking about a welfare officer. So in any factory, if there are 500 or more people, we will have to appoint a welfare officer. Okay, and we also have to appoint a safety officer if we have 100 or more workers. Okay. Also, if the central government thinks that your manufacturing process is risky, so if they want to appoint, if they want you to appoint a safety officer, In that case also, you will have to appoint a safety officer. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So moving ahead, so we are going to talk about lot of welfare measures. So basically, this welfare officer is responsible for welfare measures. Okay. Safety officer is responsible for safety measures. Now, welfare measures, what are all the welfare measures that we are going to talk in this chapter are all these six. We're going to do them in detail. And we are also going to talk about what are the health measures that a factory has to do. So these are all the details of the health measures that a factory needs to have. So we'll discuss these health measures and welfare measures in the next video, and we will stop this here. If you understood this lecture, please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and also share the video. If you have any doubts, you can put it in the comment section and I will get back to you. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.